Week 8 is in the books. Had to really just look at what number we were at because, wow, we're getting that far into the season that all these games and bye weeks and confusing things are happening all the time. But we have concluded Week 8, and boy, oh boy, was it an interesting weekend to say the least. You got absolutely smacked this weekend in terms of wins and losses, which was amusing, but also, like, it happens. And I'm back to 500 in terms of my locks. My locks have gotten to 500. So, I mean, I don't know if you're getting worried about that specifically, but yeah, just something for me to point out there. Yeah, takeaways from this weekend.
Takeaways from this weekend. Yeah, I think Green Bay has earned legitimacy from us after last week. I know that you were on the fence more than I was about them. It's like, you didn't even convincingly beat Chicago. So like, how are we going to really like place them? But after beating Arizona, who I mean was the best team in the league, objectively, they were undefeated. Going in there shorthanded, not having who some consider the best wide receiver in the league there, and Aaron Rodgers just doing his thing. Yeah, they took care of business. Green Bay has gained that legitimacy for me.
Yeah. And the other thing that I flipped on my head about from last week is really I was talking about worrying about like how margins of victory and
Hmm.
maybe margins of victory matter in terms of like worrying about morale for a team. Looking at a game like Philly at Detroit this weekend, like we really think that the morale for Detroit is probably completely gone. Um, but besides that, I mean, I think I'm going to stop worrying about margin of victory, purely start worrying about who actually came out on top or who actually lost a game because that's probably much more important than trying to analyze much deeper than that because wins and losses are what truly matters. So, should keep thinking about that. The only and obviously then the game we'll get to all these games obviously, but then you know even thinking about like margin of victory where I talked about before, where I said over the weekend, where I said last week, I said one of the most shocking thing, I think possibly the most shocking thing ever this weekend will be if the Jets go and beat the Cincinnati Bengals with the way each of those teams have been heading. And I should have just known. As soon as I said that, I should have known that I wrote it into the record books that the New York Jets would beat the Cincinnati Bengals over the weekend just to teach me a lesson about how little I can possibly know about football.
Yeah, man. Thanks for that. Really appreciate it. If only you would have locked that one up and could have given myself a little bit more of a lead. But if you would have locked it up, then I definitely would have switched to picking the Jets right then.
Yeah, that's very true. Let's get into the games though. So starting with that game you mentioned between the Green Bay Packers and the Arizona Cardinals, what thoughts?
Yeah. Besides the gaining legitimacy thing, Kyler Murray looked a little flustered in that game. It was weird to see. I mean, he's had bad games. I mean, he played bad against Jacksonville. Uh, but for some reason he looked worse, or I shouldn't say for some reason. He obviously looked worse. They lost the game in this one. Uh, just I mean, the playmakers on that team really weren't making plays. I don't know if it was part of the play calling or just some mental thing with Kyler Murray not being able to process the play and get it to his receivers there. But Chase Edmonds and James Conner, they picked up for the slack, and I mean that's good for the Cardinals to know at least down the road that you got two backs that can maintain and score points for you if you need to. Granted, like those three scores were all like inside the 10-yard line, but still having guys out of the backfield, which I mean you don't really think about when you think Arizona, you get caught up in the air raid passing that they have. But they have two reliable running backs that can uh, break tackles and get open in the open field, make catches. Chase Edmonds more in that category, but scoring touchdowns. Yeah.
I just I just gotta wonder how different our opinions on this game would be if AJ Green hears the audible call at the end of the game. Because I mean, I just talked about how now I'm purely worried about like who actually comes out as a winner or loser in this.
Hmm.
Um, it's just really interesting when a game comes down to like one play like that, and it's really like, okay, well, if a game comes down to one play like that, then it means I should be excited for the matchup in the future, because then it's probably, I mean, it feels like it should happen again if the game's that close. So these teams really evenly matched. Obviously, Green Bay came out on top, so got to give them the credit. But I'm just really interested to see how different our perspectives would be on that game.
Oh yeah.
Also, like, as a fan looking onto that, it's like, wow, Green Bay got lucky, and it's like always like that. But then I'm just like thinking back about like my own experience in sports, and like when I'm playing, I never really, no matter like how lucky of a situation a team I was on got into, to be able to somehow pull out a win, where it was like maybe it was just like some sort of like lackluster thing the other guy didn't do that really allowed my team to win in the end. The thought process while you were on a team was never actually worrying about like, oh, well, it was because the other team screwed this up or whatever. It's just interesting to like talk about those things from a fan's perspective, because it really doesn't matter. Green Bay won the game in the end, and
Hmm.
that's what I my theme of this weekend. So I'll break away from that theme and start talking about some other stuff too. Uh, Carolina at Atlanta.
Yeah, this game was yucky. Uh, I mean, the best play in this game was Eric Harris putting Robbie Anderson to concussion protocol, which I mean, that's not good that Robbie Anderson like isn't going to be playing. Uh, but that hit was like the only highlight to come out of that game. Uh, yeah, I don't really have much to say on this game. Sam Darnold played all right. He's in concussion protocol now, so PJ Walker might uh be playing for the Panthers next week, which that might be an upgrade now. Sam Darnold has not looked great after that nice little run that he had to start the season off. It's just been downhill, but I mean they get a little bounce back here against the Falcons, but I mean the Falcons are just awful. So
Yeah, Gilmore got a pick at the end of the game, kind of sealing it up. Didn't make a huge difference, but he did. So give him credit for that. He finally stepped on the field and did something for the Panthers. Uh, Falcons really just looking gross. I man, they've got pieces on their team that should allow them to do things, but now Calvin Ridley's not on the team anymore, at least for the time being. And
mhm.
I just don't know what you're looking at saying that there's anything too exciting with Panthers. Good job getting a win, getting off like the downtrend that you were on, that I was talking about, which was the reason that I picked Atlanta, since you guys have just been falling and falling and falling. So you're off that. Maybe you can get back um, to beating teams that are worse than you. But I, man, the Falcons are just in about as bad as a spot right now as it feels like any team in the league can be, with like an aging quarterback. And it's like, well, we got Kyle Pitts. Besides that, I got no clue.
Yeah, you got Kyle Pitts, but you can't really build a franchise around Kyle Pitts. That's the one downside.
Not at all. Anything else on that one?
No, keep feeding Cordero Patterson. I know you're losing games, but that doesn't mean you got to stop all the fun.
We are big supporters of Cordell Patterson. I have
Oh
to I
yeah.
have to say. I
Yeah.
mean, do you remember what I said about him coming out of college? Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. No, like he's never been great, but like if he was just on my team for like 15 seasons, he would always put a smile on my
Hmm.
face.
Yeah. I mean, Arthur Smith hasn't been doing a lot right, but making Cordero Patterson the featured receiver and running back in that offense has been the right thing.
Yes. Tennessee at Indianapolis.
Yeah. I mean, Indy has been doing through the first 8 weeks of the season what we've said they would do uh all the way all those months ago when we talked about them and did a little uh you know look of them under a microscope. Their schedule is just brutal. Like it is really really tough for them to win games, but they have been keeping games close. And I mean, it's amazing that they're keeping games close when I mean, I'm not going to hate on Carson Wentz, but if you just like flip on the highlights, it's like, "Oh, what turnovers did Tennessee have in this game?" It's like, "Oh, Carson Wentz is just playing like rookie Josh Allen or something. Like he's just chucking up balls or like making stupid plays trying to extend the play. Uh, which I mean he could do 3 years ago when he was like bobbing and weaving in the pocket and then taking off, but now he's bobbing, weaving, moving backwards, moving backwards, moving backwards, throwing a ball up, picked, touchdown. Like it looks ugly. But they took Tennessee the distance, brought them all the way to OT. And I mean Indy was favored in this game, and whoever favored Indy, from what we looked at in betting odds, good job, because like that I wasn't expecting the game to be this close. Uh, and I mean it's a little too late for them to be like, yes, Derrick Henry's out, we could take the crown now, because the Titans have beat them twice now, so they have to match Tennessee and then one, in order to win that division. I feel like whoever wins that division, no one else below them is going to be making the playoffs. So if the Colts can somehow overtake the Titans between now and the end of the season, I think the Titans are going to make it. But that is just, I don't think that's going to happen. But that's something for Indy fans to be excited about, because the back half stretch for their schedule isn't as bad as the front half, and they came out of that front half way better than I think we both thought they would at the start of the season.
Just think about this. The situation described for Indianapolis to win this division means now, because they've already lost both games to the Titans, that Indianapolis has to go the next 9 games only losing one of them, and Tennessee has to go the next 9 games losing, I think they'd have to lose 4 or 5 of them for probably I think
possible.
if no, but the thing is that let me give you a more realistic scenario. If it is perfect for Indianapolis. Indianapolis goes 7-2 in the last 9 games. That's like a perfect scenario for Indianapolis. 7-2 in the last 9 games. The Titans have to lose a majority of their remaining games.
I'm not a big Ryan Tannehill fan. I still think that like with AP in the backfield and the receivers he has, and this is great for the AJ Brown fan club. Like
yes, no,
like he's gonna get more targets now, so he might finally be able to prove that he's the best receiver in the league. I mean, I would love it if he finishes the year with the most receiving yards in the league, and I mean Julio's been out too, so he's like number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that like no one on that team can stay healthy.
Yeah. No, and then just no, I mean last week before the game though, for the preview, I really was trying to reiterate over and over again that I was picking the Titans, but I feel like the Colts are going to be close in this one, and I hope I got my point across, because that's exactly how it played out. I will say early, the one thing I was really scared about is that I thought it would just meant the 14-0 lead that the Colts took out of the gate. I was like, uh-oh, this is the week where the Titans are just going to play like trash for no apparent reason. And they fought back. So thank you, Titans, for showing some resiliency against that, and getting the win when I picked you, even though I thought the game would be close. Miami at Buffalo.
Yeah, both teams played how I thought they'd play. I mean, you and I had this conversation just as Bills fans, where it's like we can't be satisfied with any wins that they have until like Tampa Bay and then the playoffs, because they just play garbage teams.
Maybe
for the rest
New
of the
Orleans.
season. Maybe New Orleans. Well, that'll be on Thanksgiving too. That'll be a nice little slice of pumpkin pie after the meal. But yeah, those two teams. It just playing Miami. You go into that game expecting to win, and I mean, I like this new narrative that you're subscribing to, or ideology, where it's just like, it doesn't matter how much they won by, just as long as they win, because walking out of that game, it was like, they could have beat them by a lot more. They should have beat them by a lot more, but they won the game, and that's all I can ask them to do. So, yeah, I mean, but Buffalo's probably gonna get some flack for not crushing them, but I mean, Miami is now the bottom feeder in the AFC East, which is just wow.
I think we were lower on Miami than most people were before the season. We were not this low. We were lower than most people. There were a lot of people saying Miami was definitely about to be a playoff team, about to surpass the Bills. We're saying, maybe 6-10, or sorry, 6-11. Man, 6-11's looking kind of tough for Miami right now. But with that being said, Yeah, no, Buffalo did their job. Buffalo won, so I have to be happy about that. Because the other option is literally the next game that we're going to talk about in terms of Cincinnati heading to play the New York Jets and being a team that I said should win by 24, and then not only not coming close to that 24 mark, but just straight up losing the game. So, with that being said, I don't know, that game this weekend may have been one of the biggest shockers I've had in terms of NFL games in a great while. And like, even trying to think about excuses you could make for Cincinnati, I don't really have them, and it's just like, okay, I don't care about margin of victory anymore. This is the game that made me talk about the wins versus losses thing. Because if Cincinnati came out of this with a win, would have been like, oh, close. They almost got there, but whatever. No, they just straight up lost to the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make an excuse for him either. You shouldn't lose to the Jets, but also like two of the top teams in the AFC, or at least at the time, going into those games, considered two of the top teams in
They
the
still
AFC.
are.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know about the Titans anymore.
The Titans are
They're
the
top.
one seed right now.
Well, yeah, but they've lost to the Jets. So I'm hoping by the time the Bills play the Jets, they're still like sitting there at 3 or 4. They don't get there at that one because the Jets seem to be the king killers. But yeah, to make an excuse for them, their defense didn't play well, but the offense still put up points. That's no excuse though, because you're playing against the Jets. I don't know if it's like a Jeff Hostetler situation going into the Super Bowl where it's like, we got no film on him. We don't know what we're gonna do with Mike White. It's like, how are we gonna game plan for this guy? But come on, like, I mean, shout out to Mike White because, wow, he might be giving Zach Wilson a run for his money if he can continue that level of play, which does not seem possible. But if he can continue that level of play until Zach Wilson comes back, I don't know, man. You gotta stay with the hot hand, at least I'd think. Uh, yeah, Mike White played out of his mind. Jets defense played great too. I mean, Shaq Lawson had a pick. But yeah, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals were not on their A game. I don't know if it's just they were looking ahead of this game. I know that they play Cleveland next week, so I don't even know how much you could get caught up in that game looking ahead. I mean, it's a division opponent, but still, like, you're still the Cincinnati Bengals. I feel like that's the mentality we have to have. Yeah, we just smoked the Ravens, but we're still the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
We still aren't like consensus good around the league. We need to prove it and prove it by beating a bad team. And they just beat one of like the most high-powered offenses in the league in the Ravens, shutting them down and then just like steamrolling them. And then with the Jets, it's like, we'll lay down and just lose this game. I don't get. This seems like something the Saints would do, not something the Bengals would do.
Yeah. There's nothing else to say about it. Pittsburgh at Cleveland.
Yeah, this game was a stinker too. I mean, like Baker was playing at like 25%. They just wheeled a corpse out there on Halloween to play QB for him. Like he didn't look good. Like Baker's had I don't think it would be a hot take for me to say Baker's had the worst season of his career so far. This season.
Freddie Kitchens' year was not anything
it wasn't
impressive.
This is on par with it though. The Freddie Kitchens year.
Okay, fair.
And you're having Baker play some of his lowest level football, also hurt, and then without Kareem Hunt, but they had Nick Chubb too. So I don't know how much excuses I want to give. I want to keep giving him excuses because Pittsburgh has 4 wins now, and they weren't supposed to have more than 3. So I'm a little shaken by that. But yeah, Cleveland's defense is still good, but when you play against Pittsburgh, they have a good defense as well. It's just coming down to shutting out Ben. And like you said, the goal is 17 points, and they didn't even have to get 17 to beat Cleveland.
They didn't. Those injuries concerned me. I didn't think Baker was going to play. I'll have to say when I saw Baker was going to play, I was like, oh shoot, maybe they will get to that past that 17.
I think they could have won the game if Case Keenum was in there. I think they
Yeah,
would have won
because
the game.
Pittsburgh didn't get to the 17-point mark that I say is the number. And I think that they could have put another touchdown on the board if Case Keenum played over the weekend. But anyways, I got the pick right, so I can't be too upset about it. Um I don't I don't know, man. I want to see this team get healthy first. Obviously, this is a team that I was hyping up all offseason, and they've had some really weird stuff going on. And you probably didn't even see this because we've been recording since this came out. But now Odell Beckham is stepping away from the team, just like Calvin Ridley stepping away from Atlanta. Now Odell Beckham is exiting the fold for the Browns for the time being. I don't know how long that'll be, but I'm guessing that may have an impact. It could be a positive impact for them, unlike the Calvin Ridley situation, which I think obviously hurts the Falcons. This may help the Browns. I don't know, but I just want to see them get healthy and try to get like whatever's going on with themselves at least somewhat cleared up, because I think that they should be a lot better of a team than this to lose to Pittsburgh. Because even though I picked Pittsburgh to win this weekend, that does not mean that I think Pittsburgh is a better team than Cleveland.
I think the Calvin Ridley Odell thing are like far different. Calvin Ridley's doing it for mental health reasons. Odell's just doing it because he doesn't want to be there. I also saw that Kevin Stefanski said something like, he's practically not part of the team at this point. Which, I mean, why don't you get? I understand that he has a big contract. Get something for him at the trade deadline then if it's this bad, because all that you're going to do is cut him. And I feel like he's going to clear waivers if no team's going to attempt to trade for him with that contract. But even if he goes through waivers, the first team that has access to him, I feel like would pick him up. Like if you're Detroit, you're picking him up to give Jared Goff another receiver. He isn't going to play for Detroit, so I think every team's just going to let him clear waivers and he's going to sign wherever he wants to sign.
I just feel like Antonio Brown situation a few years ago just made it so like people are probably just terrified to have even a guy like, I mean, Odell's not a shy guy, but even like guys with like any sort of like personality, it's probably just gonna scare people. And I mean, I feel like Odell, at least in terms of like being in the spotlight and that type of thing, is actually pretty similar to Antonio at his level when he got traded to the Raiders. But yeah, no, I don't know who would want to. I don't know how many they may have been trying to trade him. I don't know how many teams really would have wanted to make that trade for him. I mean, even like something like lower. I just don't know if you'd be like a fourth. You go like a fourth round pick or something, and it's like I don't even know if I want to give up a fourth for Odell right now because of the potential negative impacts he could have on my team. And then it's like you get in terms of a fifth round pick. And then it's like from the Browns' perspective, it's like we can't trade him for a fifth round pick.
Yeah, the only team that I could see like putting a bid on him like during the trade deadline would be the Saints. Like
maybe,
especially now with Michael Thomas being done for the year. But that came out after the deadline. If there were any team that Odell would pick, though, I don't know, because I feel like he's going to just pick a team at this point. He has to clear waivers. Like I can't see like a team that's like at the top of the waiver priority.
You're assuming he's gonna get cut though. By him stepping away from the team, he's violating his contract, which means that they shouldn't have to pay him any money. So what would be the reason to do that? What would be the reason to give another team him and potentially have him go be successful with another team? Just wait till the offseason and trade him then. It's probably the same as the Deshaun Watson situation. If he doesn't want to come back to the, I mean, I realize they can't even trade him now, but like I don't feel like there's any reason to cut him or anything.
It just to me seems like the dumbest thing to do, and NFL teams just have a tendency to do the dumbest option possible when like given 3 or 4 options. They always pick the dumbest one.
Houston's doing the right thing right now, just holding their cards to their chest, which is funny because they've been the worst of the culprits in the past few years.
Houston traded that young defensive lineman to the Niners for like a 5th round pick that they drafted with a 5th round pick back in 2020, who was like kind of productive. And it's like, yes, if we're rebuilding, let's get rid of all the young assets for late round picks that we used to draft that young asset. Which, they've been doing some good things, but you know, the organization still has to throw one thing out there where it's like, a little bit of incompetence.
Do you know that I'm sorry, I'm not even familiar with the situation you're talking about. What's the name of the player? It wasn't.
crud.
It wasn't Ross Blacklock, was it?
No, it wasn't Ross
Okay.
Blacklock.
I was gonna say
Um,
I just hadn't heard about this.
oh, Charles O'Menahue,
Okay.
traded to the uh, traded to the Niners for a 2023 sixth round pick, and he was a 2020 fifth round pick.
And this was recent news. He just got traded.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. This was at the deadline.
Interesting. Wow, we're really falling off the path of Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
Yeah, yeah. Jeez, sorry.
It's okay. No, I mean it's just yeah. No, we want to see Cleveland get right. That's the thing. Pittsburgh though, if they keep kicking around, bro, there's something to be said about worrying about like games where teams kick around long enough where it's like okay, this game's close too long. This game's close too long. Like they may be able to pull this out because they're not pulling away. Maybe we should be worried about Pittsburgh not being able to get kicked down like they should because they may sneak into the playoffs at this point if they are at 500 right now.
Yeah, I feel like if they get into the playoffs though, they're just gonna get like crushed.
They
But yeah,
should.
the possibility is there for them to sneak in, and I do like that whole kicking around thing. Like, yeah, if you kick around in a game, it's like, oh, they might win this one, but it's just they're gonna kick around for a whole season.
Just like, what is going on? All right, enough of those guys. The, man, I don't even know how to describe this game, but maybe like the man, it's just sad. Philadelphia, Detroit.
Yeah, to give this game kind of an analogy, it's like the bullies are picking on a nerd, and then the nerd goes and finds a weaker nerd to go beat up to show that he's like one of the bullies. That's kind of what this game felt like, where it's just like Philly's like, we haven't just beat the snot out of a team this season, so let's do it to the Lions, who this is their only winnable game, like at left at the schedule. They might win one later, but you and I both looked at their schedule last week when we were predicting games. We're like, this seems if they're gonna win one, might as well be this one. And yeah, I feel like that team is just deflated now.
Can
Like,
can I take your bully analogy?
yeah, sure,
Okay.
one up it.
This is the situation. This is like the bully takes the nerd and like throws him into the garbage can the first day of class. Like he takes like it happens the whole first week and every day he's kicking and fighting. And then finally he comes up with a plan. And his big plan gets so close to like not end up in the garbage can and it still falls through. And he's just like, "Man, I planned ahead for all this and I tried so hard." So then finally he's just like, okay, I'm just gonna let him do it. Now he's literally just letting the bully throw him in the trash can every day, just like, yeah, whatever. And that's where Detroit's sitting right now. This was it. They took out all they pulled out all the secret weapons and trick plays and everything last week against the Rams, and they couldn't pull that game off doing all those things. And I have to feel like this team just must be in like even though they have a very motivational head coach, just must be like, man, we tried everything and we still can't win. What's the motivation to keep playing at this point? Like it's got to be so frustrating.
I hope they just don't lay down for the rest of the season because I do want to see them win one. Thanksgiving, let them win on Thanksgiving when
Listen,
everyone's watching. That would be great.
at some point though, this is the hard point in the season where yeah, it's like I don't know. They're like it's like okay, we're bad and they're finally accepting it and it's like it's just hard enough to get one win. I feel like you're kind of right still. This may be the worst showing we see from them all season. I hope. I really because I just don't know how they could go to practice for the next 9 weeks and not have any sort of like positive stuff happen at all. Like something has to flip a switch at least 1 week where they're willing to put up a fight. I can't imagine that they're just going to get shut out and allow 30 plus points every game for the rest of the season. Good job, Philadelphia. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't have much to say about Philly because you just hurt like one of my guys in the Detroit Lions at Dan Campbell.
As long-term Bills fans, there's no way that we can look at what's going on with the Lions and like be rooting actively against them.
No, but at the same time, as long-term time Bills fans, it's hard to empathize with the Lions because the team, like the Bills, have never been like this bad. At
You're
least
kind of right.
in our lifetimes. I mean, they weren't even that bad before us, but just in our lifetimes, I've never seen the Bills this bad. Like I can empathize with bad teams. This is like a whole new level of
to
bad.
to be fair, actually that 2010 year, which was like probably the first year that I really got into football, I think we started like 0 and 9 or 10, which right now they're only at a 0 and 7 or 0 and 8. I think they're 0 and 8, right? They haven't had their bye yet. So they're 0 and 8, so they haven't actually reached that point. They still, I mean, in terms of like having the pieces to like be a team that somehow gets like some sort of oomph to them at the end of the season, maybe they could be like how I remember the end of that 2010 Bills season, and actually where like the Bills basically finished 500 in the second half of the year.
Yeah, I mean that's nice to think, but when you look at the Lions schedule, it's rough. It's rough. I mean, they play the Broncos and the Falcons, and Green Bay might be sitting their starters the last week of the season. So they got 3 games they
Whoa,
could maybe win.
whoa, wait! Did you just hand them victories over Minnesota? Or sorry, did you just hand Minnesota victories over the Lions?
Oh, they played. They're in the same division as the Vikings. No, the Vikings have already played them once and beat them. But they do play them in Detroit, so that might change it as well. That game's gonna be close. That game's gonna be close.
It's guaranteed to be close, unless the Lions are actually laying down this badly. Um, Great, another really entertaining one from the weekend. Rams at Houston.
I hate box score watchers. Uh, Now I don't hate this person, but the guy I went to a Bills game with, we're watching the game. He looks at his phone, looks at the scores at the end of the game when we're walking out. He goes, "Oh, Houston kept it close with the Rams." And I was like, "No, like I guarantee you they didn't." And he's like, "Oh, the score's close though at the end." I'm like, "That doesn't mean that the game was close." And then I went back and watched it, and it's like, "Oh yeah, the Rams are just like, all right, we've won this game. Davis Mills throw for 300 yards." That's great. I mean, love
Yes.
Davis Mills. He's such a meme. But yeah, the Rams won this game handily, and I mean they're one of the few. I mean, the only team this week really that just handily won their game. Oh no, Seattle did too.
Philadelphia.
Let me rephrase that. Expected to win it handily and won it handily.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, no, the Rams jumped out to a 38-0 lead. This was the most boring game of the weekend. Um, Houston definitely has a problem. We
Haha.
we we will not see that get resolved anytime soon. That's what I'll say. San Francisco at Chicago.
Yeah, like I said going into this one, it'd be really cool if this was Trey Lance against Justin Fields, and it wasn't, and it was
Yeah,
really boring.
but
It was
no, it was not. It was not boring. I was not watching it, but okay. Let me give you two things. Justin Fields 4th-and-1 touchdown run.
Oh no, that was
Awesome.
great. Justin Fields is awesome.
Jimmy Garoppolo 2 rushing touchdowns. 2 rushing touchdowns for Jimmy Garoppolo. That's all you needed to hear. I don't care about what your opinion is on this game. This was a great game, and you're just salty because you did so poorly this weekend.
Well, that and also I want Trey Lance to play. I
Especially
mean,
because it was against your Niners. You finally picked against your Niners, and this is what you
and
get
yeah,
for it.
yeah. Uh, but just think about it. Jimmy G gets 2 rushing touchdowns. Trey Lance, I think, is at least 1.5 times better running the ball than Jimmy G. That's another rushing touchdown right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I know. But would they have been expecting it then?
That's a good question. All right, so it just brings him back to 2 then. All right, we'll
Yeah.
get rid of that 1.
Uh-huh.
He'd
Yeah.
still have 2 rushing
So in
touchdowns.
other words, it doesn't matter who their starting quarterback is this season
No,
still.
I just wanted to share my advanced analytics.
Man, you're getting much better with number analysis. It's like I'm rubbing off on you or something.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I mean, I don't know how much further you wanted to go on that game, but that's
No.
those okay, cool. Because we got to talk about the game of the century. New England at Chargers. So please defend yourself to your fullest extent.
Oh, I'm not going to defend myself. I'll own up to it. I mean, the one thing that the Chargers can't do, well, they came back and bit them. Like they cannot defend the run. And Bill Belichick isn't no dunce. He realized like, oh, I Big McCorkle doesn't even need to, do anything really. He just needs to hand the rock off. And then, Mac Jones still had some dumb mistakes too, but he's rookie QB. And Justin Herbert, the game was fully thrown on Herbert's shoulders. And I'll give you credit too. You said this as well. Any game, but you said this for Chiefs games.
No. This is any game where the Chargers have the potential, like if they're playing an opponent where it's like, you could see it go either way, then it's like pretty much on him.
Yeah, and that hasn't worked out well, the past couple of games. The Chargers didn't play last week, right? Or 2 weeks ago. They were on bye.
Yes,
right?
they were on bye.
Yeah, so the Ravens game and this one, fully on Justin Fields' shoulders, and he can't pull through. Sorry, I'm still thinking about that. Yeah. I'm salty about all these games. I'm just getting my anger mixed up. But Justin Herbert, it's hard to just ask a QB, especially a young QB in his second year. Yeah, just win us every game. No help. You got Keenan Allen. Throw one up to Mike Williams every once in a while. Austin Eckler, he's hurt. You can't do much with him.
Oh.
Like I saw Austin Eckler was playing, I was like, oh, that's good. That's another help. I'm like, oh, they're just wheeling him out there, hurt to play. I hate when teams do that. Sit the guy another week if you need to. Don't wheel a dude that's hurt because he's just like, I understand football players are a different breed, and it's just, yeah, I want to play, coach. I want to play. It's like, no, you can't run. We're not going to put you out there to play. That's what it seemed to be the case with Austin Eckler, at least.
I was shocked how well he played hurt, honestly.
Oh no!
It was obvious how injured he was, and he was still like playing at least effectively.
With how close the game was, I think if he played well, I don't know if anyone else plays better than him, but if he was fully healthy, I think they win that game. But yeah, putting games on Justin Herbert's shoulders, not conducive to winning. I mean, it is conducive to win. You will win games, but I feel like you're going to end up losing more than win them. At least this season. Next year and years down the road, there's nothing wrong with that. Teams do that now.
The teams that are the best are the teams that have the quarterbacks that can win the games by themselves, that still have teams built around them, which is basically what the Patriots have done for the past 20 years. So, you want to talk about that? That's pretty good. Yeah, no, I don't have much to say because I just want to basically brag about the fact that I got this right from the offseason. Like that's the only thing I'm really excited about. Besides that, there's not much for me to analyze with this game. Also because the Patriots are 500 now, right? They're 4-4 now.
I believe so.
Yeah. So since they're at least 500, I can bring back out my name for Mac Jones, so I can say Mac 10 again and feel confident in it because they've actually won half the games they've played.
I'll stick to McCorkle.
No, I know he's a complete goober, which is why it's even funnier to call him Mac 10 because it sounds threatening and it's him. But once again, that recaps the game of the year, just in case you all didn't remember that. Oh, also I should mention the Adrian Phillips play. Really, really great play, and obviously that was one of the biggest moments in the game. So, should point that out. Yeah, then Jacksonville at Seattle. I guess I at least went positive this week in terms of my predictions. But yeah, I mean, geez, if you want to rip into me for a pick, here you go.
Yeah. no matter how bad Geno Smith is at QB starting for the Seahawks, um, Urban Meyer and his coaching is worse. Like I feel like straight up, you put these two teams against each other, the Jags have a good chance of winning. Urban Meyer's leading the charge for that Jags team. Uh, that's how I felt. That like going back and looking at that game, it's like, yeah, get Jamal Agnew more involved in Jacksonville. Maybe you'll win a couple more.
You know what's the worst part about this for me? Jaguars have,
What?
like over the past 3 years, have accumulated so many draft prospects that I've just like adored, and just like got nothing to show for it. But yeah, I can confidently say now that after this week, Urban Meyer was god awful hire. That
Your number
man,
one coach though. Your number
was he
your
my
number
number
one head
one,
I think he
or
was
was
your number one.
Sirianni one?
He was either one or two for you.
We'd have to go back and look at the tape, which I probably won't end up doing. But no, I know he was either one or two for me. But I mean, luckily none of the coaches have had too much success unless the Jets are playing a good team. Then the Jets have success. Um, but yeah, no, this Urban Meyer's probably looking like the worst hire out of everybody, and I don't even know what to say. I don't know if he's actually a bad coach though, or if he just got like pulled back into it because of money. If he really was overcoaching already, and he got pulled back in because of money. Because I mean, obviously, with the thing that happened to him when they left Ohio, I mean that type of thing doesn't happen if you're invested into your team. So I mean, I just don't know if he was ever really into the idea of actually coming back to this, or it was just like, oh, okay, money grab, yeah, I'll do it.
Uh, do you think it's like harder than he thought? Or he's just like, it should be easier than college. It's just grown men. And then he's like, I need an
I
out.
have no idea. I,
Because every week's like playing Bama.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, if he's willing to say that, I would think that he realizes that it should be a tough job. But I don't think that's the problem. I think it's that he's just not invested enough into it. Like I said, I don't see any reason to keep him around. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'll get to see him live Sunday. Like,
Yeah.
so, I mean, that'll be excited. I highly doubt. I mean, talking about guys that opposing coaches that I've seen this season, I was legitimately intimidated seeing Dan Campbell as a human in real life. If I feel that way about Urban Meyer, I'll let you know. But I am wholeheartedly not. I can't say that there's even like one hair on my body that it is expecting to be scared of Urban Meyer. And that's not even just as a human. That's as a coach as well. Just like, is he about to do anything that is about to make me think that his players are any bit special?
Yeah.
Tampa Bay at New Orleans.
Yeah. Jameis pulled off the upset. Jameis pulled off the upset. I know Trevor Simeon saw it through. Uh he did what he was supposed to, and that was not lose the game. And you know, the football gods give and the football gods take. In order to get a win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have to give up your starting QB. So Jameis is done now, which is sad, but I mean that clip of him dancing in the locker room is hilarious and will forever be one of the best clips of all time. I love that so
Well, I mean,
much.
you could say it's one of the best clips of all time, but it literally just goes on the Jameis Winston highlight reel of
Oh
off
yeah.
the field clips. Not even it's nothing including what he's done on the field. Just off the field highlights of Jameis Winston. It's the list is just getting so extensive, it's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, we didn't even really like think about picking this game. It was supposed to be the Saints down week. It was I mean, it's Tampa. Like, I don't this was just weird.
Yeah, I mean, it, well, we did you equate the Saints going up and down, up and down, up and down to Jameis or the Saints? Because I equated that to Jameis. I linked it directly with Jameis.
I mean, I feel like Jameis was a part of it. I mean, no, yeah, there's no way that I would have thought that that was possible if if the Saints just had Taysom play this year, there's no way that I would have ever like started talking about this at all. Like, even
Oh
if
yeah.
the same thing had happened. No, it probably is connected to Jameis. So Jameis being out does change it a ton.
Yeah, I feel like Jameis realized that. I'm not saying Jameis Winston tore his own
But
ACL, but
Jameis built the lead still.
Yeah, no. But he broke the cycle by getting out of the game. If he would have stayed in the game, they would have lost the lead because he would
Well,
have turned the ball
we
over.
we also talked about last week how the Saints won against the Seahawks, but really like
It
it
was a
was
terrible win.
yeah, it was like
Yeah.
an awful win. So it was like was last week maybe because we were supposed to realize that last week was actually a down week because the Saints did Jameis built the lead. It's not like once Jameis went
Oh
out,
yeah.
that's when they start like
No,
they
that's what I
had the
hate with
lead.
everyone giving Trevor Siemian all this credit. It's like, no, Trevor Siemian did what he was supposed to do, and that was maintain the lead.
On the other hand, Trevor Siemian actually did have to go back down the field at the end of the game. He did have to go reacquire the lead because they let the Bucks get back into it because Trevor Siemian was on the field. But then he went and got a field goal, which was the important thing. Thing was that was surprising is that after he got the field goal, Tom Brady only took what 2 plays to throw a pick six.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and actually, getting back to that play because I mentioned it to you the other day, and I want to mention it in front of our loyal fan base. Um, did you actually get a chance to really look
Yes.
at that
Yes, I
interception?
did.
See how hard PJ Williams broke on that ball. I'm really wondering if that's about to come back in that next
He's
Saints
gonna
game.
he's gonna get cooked the next Saints game. He's gonna get cooked
Does the
at least on
same
one play.
does the same situation exactly need to arise, or do you think that man, I just couldn't believe I couldn't believe how willing he was to drive on that ball. It's a huge play for the Saints, but geez, he was just like, yes, Brady is not pumping this at all. He's throwing this, and I'm going to go get a pick on it when he was playing that deep half of the field. They do something like run that, he pumps that, and they run like a post in behind it. Bucks have the lead again very quickly.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the same situation needs to come up. I think Byron Leftwich could just drop a play that would like have to require something like that. Like wait for like a third and long, you're getting a touchdown on it then at that point. If it's like a third and 15 or third and 20, you're getting a touchdown. If that arises.
Yeah, I just wonder if he plays it as aggressively in different situations.
Oh
But
yeah.
huge play for the Saints. And I mean, what do we really like hate? I mean, this doesn't change anything for the Bucks, does it? Not really.
No.
Yeah, no, I didn't think so. One thing that I was just like is after they got down 2 scores at the end because it was 9 points. I was worried about the extra point. He got in for the touchdown. I was like, dude, you better hope you make this extra point. Um, but they get that 9 point lead and then they send Brady back out there and Brady's like mad, like we need to keep playing. I'm like, dude, you've proved to enough people at this point what a regular like how many regular season wins you have. Just literally just take knees. You're down 9. It doesn't matter to you. Maybe other teams I would worry about, but you guys will make the playoffs and be fine, and you're not going to come back and win this game, so don't get hurt. There's almost no one else I would say that about, but him, yeah, he's good enough. I don't know. Ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Washington at Denver.
It's another gross game. There were a lot of gross games this week. That was one. This is one of them.
Yeah,
It
but you
seemed
know
like
what? You know what was important about this game?
I was wrong and you were right.
That I locked up the Broncos.
Uh, uh, yeah. It seemed like both teams didn't want to win. Uh, and again, Washington not having that elite defense that you and I both thought they would have is killing them because their whole like mindset going into the season was we can have a mediocre to bad offense and it won't matter because the defense will keep us in games.
Now the
And
offense isn't even mediocre either, so that
yes,
hurts you too.
yes, and now both of those they're playing like a basement level team, and I know in my heart of hearts they aren't because of all the talent that's on that team, but I don't know if I can like pick them to win games at this point unless they're favored against teams that are like really really bad, which I mean they play in the NFC East, so it's not that hard for them to play against teams that are really really bad. But like the Broncos team hasn't looked good either. They lost against a Browns team that was like limping to victory, and they beat this team. Like
I get what you mean about the talent thing, but I think there's only 2 teams in the NFL that you can actually look at from a talent perspective and know that they don't have a chance. And that's Houston and Detroit. Because every other team, no matter how bad their record says they are, you have like multiple guys on the roster that you can point to and be like, their talent is insane. Um, I feel like it's only those two. So I mean, saying Washington's like talented, yes they are, but I I don't know. Obviously something's not clicking there, and I don't think they have enough of that superstar level talent.
No.
I just I and I mean you want to keep talking about the defense. I just don't know why the D line cannot continue playing at the level it was playing at before. I don't know.
I don't get it either. It's really weird now that like that entire team runs through Terry McLaurin. Like it has to, but the thing is, it can't run through Terry McLaurin unless the QB can't get him the ball. So they're screwed. They're
Yeah.
screwed when it comes to wins because the defense isn't going to win them a game. The only really stud offensive player you have is a receiver, and you got QBs that are like playing at replacement level. It
Yeah.
Maybe Fitz comes back and changes something. I don't know. I wouldn't think so. I think I view him and Taylor Heineke same level player. I don't know.
Actually, I mean, before I said that, now with more seeing what Taylor Heineke does, um, man, sometimes stuff just happens that makes you flip. Um, I don't think Fitzpatrick is stupid enough to put his knee on the ground at the 1 yard line against the Packers because, the Packers want to keep it close with the football team, which I'm not supposed to mention anymore, but just act like I didn't. Um, I just don't think that stuff happens with Fitzpatrick, and I don't know why Heineke's play has seemingly declined over the weeks, but it has. It must be something to do with the film, and like you mentioned with Mike White, the fact that like we didn't have film on him, maybe that was the only reason for how well he played in the playoffs in that one playoff game he got to play. But it doesn't feel like maybe more than one game this season he's looked like the same player that he looked like that night. Um, about maybe 10 months ago or so.
Mm.
I don't know. Dallas at Minnesota.
My lock was right. This whole week can be a wash because my lock was right. And going into this game, I felt terrible about that lock because I didn't know if Cooper Rush would be able to pull that out. That news kind of got sprung on me late that Dak was hurt to the point where he might not play. So that was fun to find out and then be biting my nails the whole game like, oh yeah, not even gonna get my lock right. But Minnesota keeps proving me right that they're garbage. So thanks for that. I don't know how. I don't know how. Like that defense, everyone heralding that defense. It's like, the defense is good. It's great. And then you let Cooper Rush drive down the length of the field and score a game-winning touchdown. And then you have one of the top receiver duos in the league. One of, if not the best running back in the NFL now, in Dalvin Cook. And Kirk Cousins, who, I mean, he's a good quarterback, and you can't do anything. You can't do anything against a Dallas defense that is porous. Like, all you have to do is throw it at Trayvon Diggs, like, the entire game. Sure, you might get picked off once or twice. You're going to get touchdowns the other times, though. Like, Kirk Cousins, I can't remember his stat line right off the top of my head. But it was a very inefficient passing game from him. Like, it just all around bad game from that team. And I love hating on this team.
I I don't have anything like crazy to say. I don't think I want to like give blame to like anybody on the rest of the team. But this is not my own personal idea. Usually what I say is like my own thoughts, but entirely I'm pulling this from somebody else, and I wish I could give credit to who it was. But I kind of already mentioned this to you before we recorded, in that just that Kirk Cousins literally played this game to not lose as opposed to like playing to try to win it. And it's like, this is the reason that the Vikings will like be in against whoever they play, even if it is a backup quarterback, is because their game planning changes, or at least Kirk Cousins like aggressiveness changes. Because When they play good teams, he's aggressive enough to keep it close. And when they play
Mm-hmm.
bad teams, he's conservative enough to keep it close. And it's just like, dude, if he could actually learn like that, maybe just being more aggressive would allow him to really beat the bad teams and then stick with the good teams, then it could do something for him. But Minnesota is the king of keeping games close, and they lost to the Cowboys for it. So
Yeah. To throw 35 passes and have an average of a little over 5 yards.
well, have you seen the meme of like it's like a levels concept. He has a levels concept. One guy running
Mm-hmm.
here, one guy running here. There's two defenders trailing the closer guy
Mm-hmm.
on the levels concept, and no one's covering the guy on the deeper part of the levels concept, and he throws it to the shorter guy. It's just like,
Yeah.
yep, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
But no, I mean that's the story of it. It's not any more complex than that. Uh, we'll just have to see if Minnesota can be the I don't know if they can be on the right side of their very close games enough to still be a team that's looking for a playoff spot at the end of the season. And
Mm-hmm.
then closing out with Monday Night Football, New York Giants at Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I just have to say before we like even dig into this one at all, like I don't know, it's the same story with the Chiefs. If you want to hear anything about my thoughts on the Chiefs, I mean, we've went over it like the past like 5 weeks. So I mean, maybe I'll just push to you. Like if something changed for you with the Chiefs, I guess you can try to
Nope.
portray that, but I don't know what it would be. So really, I think this game is just talking about the Giants, but I don't really know what I have to say about the Giants either.
Yeah, for the Chiefs, we should just make like a short or whatever, and then link it and have it come up whenever we have to talk about the Chiefs. It's just like, yeah, the Chiefs are gonna turn around eventually.
Just
Uh,
when I don't know.
just when. But with how their division's looking now, it might be more up for grabs than what we previously thought. Like, I don't think they're competing with Denver at all. But the other two teams, Raiders and Chargers, eh, with everything going on with the Raiders and the Chargers now, I they can do it, but I feel like whoever wins that division is gonna maybe have like just a bit over 500 or even a losing record, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna talk about the Giants. What can I say about the Giants? Good job. I mean, actually, I will say some of your defenders really impressed me with the routes they jumped. I thought a lot of guys got in passing windows really well for the Giants the other night. Um, really, you kept it close, so good job for that. But I really don't think that you're a team that is threatening anyone too much, and I think you're still a little bit away from being really competitive. And I don't know if it's a quarterback or not because like I see like Daniel Jones do things that I'm like, other guys couldn't do that, but just like it feels like there's some sort of innate ability that he's lacking, if that makes like any sense. Not even like any athletic features. Like he's got all of them.
He is moving more now. And it's great to see that he's like moving behind the line of scrimmage to make plays now because he was not doing that last season, year before, or even at the start of this year. Because we would talk about it's like the only way to get him to move and use his athleticism is to run an option. But now he's like doing bootlegs, which I mean it's still a called play, or he's getting out of the pocket and making plays, which is great to see, like development wise. But yeah, I feel that he's like lacking something. His pocket awareness has gotten better too. He's lacking
it's
one
just
thing.
so weird that this is like the opposite of almost every other quarterback coming out of the draft now,
Mm-hmm.
where we have all these guys that like just work like do crazy stuff outside of like the standard of what like should be considered robotic, and they have to train them to be at least slightly robotic. I mean, Daniel Jones is literally the opposite in terms of being the most robotic quarterback we've ever seen, and like we're
Oh yeah.
trying to make him into like a human. to like make him play well. I don't
Yeah,
really know what to point to here, but also, I mean, you guys definitely could have taken this game if you didn't have so many injuries.
yeah. Or if you involved Kadarius Toney more. Get Kadarius Toney the ball every play when all your other receivers are hurt, because Kadarius Toney is amazing, and I love him, and I love the fact that the Giants are using him because for so long there at the start of the season, or at
So
least
worried. Even the
it felt
offseason. We were worried about it in the
yes,
offseason.
just he's gonna get buried and he's gonna stay there for 5 years, and then the Giants are gonna let him walk, and then he's gonna be like floating around the league, and it's gonna be too late for him to get any sort of redemption. But it doesn't look like it's gonna be that way.
Yeah. And that's a very happy thing for us because we were really scared that Kadarius Toney would just get lost in the shuffle. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that was the last game of the week. So I think now it's just I just want to get, I don't know if we've done this the past few weeks, but I just want to get an update on where exactly you're sitting. Let's go in reverse order though. Where are you sitting your locks for this week, and then where you're sitting at overall with locks?
Well, I got my lock right for this week. Overall, I am 5-3 in my locks.
That gap is slim. Got my lock correct this week, 4-4.
Okay. Okay.
Upsets.
For upsets, I went 1-4 this week. That makes me 16-18 overall with my upsets.
Ooh. This week I was basically hitting like right down the middle. 3-3 for upsets. That puts me at 17-14 for upsets this year. And
And
overall.
for overall record, I went 5-10 this week,
Oh,
making
that's better than
my,
I thought it was.
making my overall record 72-50.
Ooh. I went 8-7 this week. I think, is that the worst I've done so far? You know, just because. Oh no, week one, I actually got more games wrong than I got right. So week one is the only week that I did worse than this week. But this week was wild. I have to say this was one of the most surprising weeks out there. I mean, Cincinnati and the New York Jets are just gonna keep pointing to that over and over again.
Yeah.
That may be my like just like mind blown like what is going on moment of the season. But then my overall record from that point now 79-43 overall.
Oh, so I'm not even that far away. I'm not even that far
Since
away.
70 wins,
72.
72 wins. Okay. So that means
I'm one good week away. I'm one good week away.
yeah, but also I need to have a bad week.
Yeah,
Well, I
it's
guess
gonna happen.
not. I guess not. I could go like no, I would have to have a
When
bad
do you
week.
go on bye so I can catch up?
No, that's what I was gonna say. I guess like I could. There's no 16 game weeks anymore because like I could have, because if there's no 16 game weeks for a while at least, like because I could go 9-7 one week and you could go 16-0 and then you would be able to catch up. But I actually do have to have a bad week for you to catch up in one individual week if the gap stays this large, because that would mean that I have to I'd have to lose at least as many games as I won for you to catch up, and you'd have to get all the games right on top of that.
Hey, sounds possible to me.
Yeah. I mean, it is possible. Just have to wait and see how the rest of the season shakes out. Man, I want to catch you in locks though. Can't wait to see who you got for tomorrow's video.
Oh yeah.
You all set?
Yeah, I think we can cut this here.